Good morning and welcome to Powertranz Live, where we cover all things commerce in the Caribbean. Our guests join us from all over the world and generously share their expertise, knowledge, and insight into payments and the digital world and how we operate within it. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and if you're joining us from LinkedIn, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you grow your business online. Today, we're discussing how to pay at the table with Powertrans. And I'm joined by Eldred Garcia. He's the Senior Vice President, Business and Partner Development at Powertrans, as well as our very special guest today, Luis Fernando Valladares. I hope I pronounced his name correctly because there are two surnames in the Latin community. He is the Director General at RPC, expertise in administration personnel or administra personnel, and commercial lead at Meshra Ecosystem. So let's bring in our guest today. ¿Cómo están?
Good morning, Pauline. Nice to see you.
Good morning,
Bien.
Pauline. Always a pleasure to be here, and today is particularly exciting because this technology is truly transformative.
Fantastic. So we're hearing everyone great. So let's just get into it. So, Luis, before we dive into how to pay at the table, tell us a little bit about your path. You know, you've spent over 20 years at the intersection of technology and people, spotting where a smarter workflow or the right piece of tech turns into a bottleneck into an opportunity. So, what drew you into the hospitality tech specifically?
Thank you, Pauline. So, as you mentioned, I've been for more than 20 years in the intersection of technology and people. I come from an HR background, and I've always been intrigued about how to better workflows within environments. So that brought me into the hospitality sector, where I saw that there were a lot of points that were disconnected, and I knew that guests really wanted to be taken care of. So we started exploring how technology could allow us to better service and bring certain aspects of technology that were dismembered into one single environment.
Thank you so much for that, Luis. And you guys may not know this, but yesterday was a very monumental day in Barbados, also known as Crapova, is one of the most colorful days in Barbados. And hospitality and restaurant owners across the island trying to rest because it was such a huge day. So, when it comes to hotel and restaurant owners who hear about pay at the table for the first time, what exactly is it and why does it matter for folks in the hospitality industry, especially in the Caribbean and Latin America right now, Luis?
So we're seeing a big push in the hospitality sector and everything that has to do with digitalizing the guest experience. So I believe everybody has seen that in the airline business where you go in and check in and everything is done self-service. You're also seeing it within the supermarket space. So those are technologies that are catching rapidly, and hospitality has stayed a little bit behind because haven't been either devices or connected services that bring the whole service experience into one device. So that's where we see the market going, and we've seen very big pushes in the United States, Europe, and Asia that are moving towards that objective.
Thank you so much for that, Luis. And you know, hospitality is such a strong industry in the Caribbean, and Jamaica, for instance, welcomed a million visitors in the first quarter of 2026. And the region's average hotel rate has climbed to over 437 US dollars a night. So for Eldred, what kind of with this volume that moves through, especially you who travel a lot and as a customer on the customer side, as well as working in the payment space, you know, where does the friction still show up for operators in the hospitality space? Oh, I think Eldred's stuck there for I think his internet's giving trouble. Okay, Luis, can you chime in there on that question?
Sure. So what we're seeing is bringing together the whole payment experience. So as you said, Pauline, once you start traveling, you start seeing how technology is being used in checkouts, using QR or using tap to pay. So what we're bringing is that same experience to the table. So we're not trying to change the way service is brought to you, but what we're trying to do is make it more agile and have the intention of a consumer be set in a different manner. So if I want that other beer, I can just order it. If I want my pastry, I can order it. So that allows an operator to be more efficient and be able to create a hybrid workforce that allows guests to feel more engaged and have service be rendered quick in a very quick manner.
So, a lot of us take for granted the experience that we have when we go on holiday, for instance, because let's be honest, we just want to have a good time. We don't want to have to study about anything. But walk us through what a typical guest experience looks like today as a Caribbean restaurant or hotel restaurant before and after the pay at the table solution.
So I think we've all experienced that before. What we're currently living is restaurant owners and hotel owners put a lot of effort, and they want their experience to be very gratifying to the final guest. But sometimes staff is overworked or strained, and that affects the service. So even though you might have had the best meal in your life, maybe service wasn't there, not because they didn't want to give you a good service, but because they were overwhelmed. So by what we're trying to do is offset that by bringing technology where everything is connected. My intent is captured at the table. It's helping the waiters serve me better, and it's going straight to kitchen. So that way, the whole workflow is being optimized. And by connecting technology at the table with the back office of the hotel or the restaurant, the whole process of closing a tab or the accounting process and the payment process is all simplified. So it brings optimization and customer satisfaction without friction.
Wow, okay. That's something that a lot of consumers would love to hear. But I want to look at it from the restaurant perspective, and Eldred has joined us back. We're going to shift the conversation now from, if you're listening to this as a restaurant owner, hotel owner, it may feel overwhelming to make that change, as with Powertranz brings this, payment all together, payment system together. Why does this plugging into a restaurant's existing point of sale matter? So much how it was built. So Eldred, just give us some insight as to, what does that look like from a restaurant owner's perspective?
Well, Pauline, when I mentioned that this was particularly exciting for me for this webinar, for tasked to bring new, innovative, transformative technology that's secure into our markets. But the other side, which a lot of people don't know, is I used to own a restaurant. And from the experience that I had running a restaurant and a coffee shop and a bar, you have operating systems that run the business. Right now, you can say there's roughly anywhere between 200 plus different POS systems out there. So asking a restaurant owner to rip out whatever they have in order to implement something that is out of the box was not a viable conversation. So we spent a lot of time understanding the different options that we had. One of them is not to try to guess which one to connect to, because there's so many, and you're obviously going to leave somebody out by selecting one. So the other option was, how do we connect them all? And this is part of the conversation that Luis is having, is creating an eco environment, an ecosystem that has specialists within the ecosystem that do the tasks that we're trying to accomplish. For instance, one of the main components of this ecosystem is a technology that allows us to integrate to over 200 different POS systems right out of the gate, allowing us to be able to walk into a restaurant asking them, which POS system do you have? 9 times out of 10, it's already integrated. All they have to do is enable a function within their system for this solution to work. This is huge, obviously. We've solved the riddle on the backside. On the front side, it's equally important to figure out how do we take payments. So that conversation with restaurant owners was also painful because having them to decide what hardware to use was also difficult. So what we've done is we've solved the riddle on the back end with fully integrating all the different POS systems, and on the front end, moving away from how are we going to take payments to where do you want to take payments.
Oh, hello? Oh, wow. I had a whole conversation there. Wow. Okay. So, Luis, can you hear me? All
Yes,
right. So,
I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
all right. I was giving, the secret to success there, and it completely lost on me and everyone else. So let's try this again. So, Luis, Meshra combines tabletop kiosks, payments, and ad inventory for hotel groups. For an operator who's never seen this before, what does the guest do at the table? Let's help folks who are watching this visualize what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
So let me break it down. So we call it an ecosystem because it's actually a series of technologies, best of breed, that have come together. And what we're doing is orchestrating everything in a very simple form that is being presented on an Android device. So those devices can be a tablet or specific devices that are made to live at the table. So when we talk about orchestration, there are several pieces. The first piece is, like Eldred mentioned, the part of being able to call and communicate with the POS. So we work with one of our partners who they are leaders in the world in connecting POSs to delivery services. So we're utilizing that same channel, but for in-guest dining. So that allows us to communicate with the POS. So nobody needs to rip out their POS or change the way they're doing business. We actually communicate and talk to the POS, and we're able to see their menu and everything that's being offered to the client at the table. So that allows us to, in a click, connect and push that information to the device. So once that connection is established, then the next layer is the payment layer, which we manage through Powertranz. So once the intention of ordering is captured, what we do is send out that information out to kitchen using Deliverect, which they then push it to the POS, and that takes the route that the customer has decided, either to the bar or to the kitchen. And when payment is required, then it's just being settled by different forms of payment. So we have a QR, so you can use a QR code that is being shown on the screen, and you use your phone to scan the QR, and you pay with your phone using your credit cards that have been saved to your wallet. So you're using it in the safety and comfort of your phone to settle that account. Then the other option too is QR split. So if we're several in a party and we do want to split the bill, we can do it through QR, and that's thanks to a Powertranz hosted payment page. So the guests will see different QRs corresponding to each party's bill, and then you can settle that too. And we also have the card payment, which can be in two ways. One is at the device. There are devices that have NFC capable antennas that allow us to use a soft post to capture a payment with a card or your phone on glass. So if you want to settle an account, you can just tap the device and it'll collect the payment and process it. And the other one is if we have devices that do not have that NFC chip, we can also send the payment request to a certified NFC device that can take payment. So we're covering all sides of the payment spectrum so that at any point in time someone can pay at the table. So that's how it's built, and what we're trying to do is offer service expectation by showing a menu with a picture and more description about the product, and then we're allowing you to settle the bill in the way that you most feel comfortable.
Again, I swear I haven't done this for years. It sounds really great to have the option to split the bill. That's the thing that piques my interest because I've been to many dinners, I've been out so many times, and everyone's like taking the pen and paper and trying to figure it out. So that would be convenient for all of us. So we're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have a conversation around marketing and advertising on this device itself, which is something I'm very interested in learning. So we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to Powertranz Live Show. We cover all things e-commerce with guests joining us from all over the world to share their knowledge on this digital world we're all a part of. You're not going to find these conversations anywhere else. Trust me, I looked for it. The Caribbean, we need some Caribbean specific solutions. And if you are like Kovan, who's joining us from LinkedIn, thank you so much for letting me know that my sound was off. That's making sure that you guys are watching. Don't forget to like our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your online business. So today we're discussing how to pay at the table with Powertranz, and we're joined by Luis Fernando Valladares. He is from RPC and Meshra Ecosystem. Bring him in. Where is Luis? Hi, Luis. So we're having some technical problems with Eldred. So we're going to try to see if he's going to be able to join us. It's a bit of difficulty there seeing him. So just before the break, we were discussing how visualizing the solution at the table. But what we're going to look at now is revenue generator. This is something all business owners will pique their interest at. So beyond payments, this is being positioned as something that is a marketing and advertising device. So how does that work in practice for a hotel, restaurant, or beach bar, which there are so many in Barbados and I'm missing right now? So Luis, let us know.
Sure. Thank you, Pauline. And as you mentioned, well, what we're proposing is technology that is not only sitting there to serve you, but it's also creating a revenue stream for the operator or the restaurant. So by having devices on the table, we can create content that is venue specific and that targets a upsell or partnerships or information that's relevant to that venue. And that information is being showed in a passive manner while the device is on idle. And while the device is on idle, you'll always have the tap to order button. So at any moment in time, if you want to order that second round of drinks or you want to order something else, you just hit tap to order and the device is there to serve you. So by allowing that layer of advertisement, that allows us to work with sponsors that can offset the cost of the technology at the table. So if executed correctly, a business owner can work with sponsorships so that the devices are on and ready and connected to their POS systems and generating value for them at the same time offsetting the cost of operating the device at the table.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Do you have any examples of clients or something
Sure.
off the top of your head that you've experienced or seen?
Off the top of the head, I can tell you that there's a large interest with beverage companies. So, for example, if you are at a venue that serves alcohol and you have promotions or you have information that is acknowledging that there's a certain type of drink that you can have right then and there, that helps you upsell and promote the brand. So that creates brand awareness, and you can start doing really creative things on the advertisement side and marketing side, because every single aspect is measured. So every time someone orders something, we measure that intent. So we're capturing intent. So it's not just passive advertisement that you don't know if it ends up creating a sale opportunity, but it's actually being recorded. Another example of what we're doing is that some of this advertisement can have embedded QR codes. So if there's a promotion or something that you have to have a call to action, that person that's sitting at the table might be having a conversation, and it says you want a 2 for 1 promotion, scan the QR. So you can do that and register yourself for that promotion that can later be put in the machine as a promotional code, and that allows you to track exactly what's happening at the table. So before this, we couldn't measure anything that happened at the table, dynamics, viewing, trends. But now with having technology at the table, we're able to see who's ordering what, with what frequency, and we could also measure return customers. So it allows for a big space in the cost reduction, marketing side, and upselling side.
Wow. So it sounds like the solution is how to pay at the table and more, because
Yes.
that sounds amazing, especially as a business owner myself. Finding other forms of revenue is just an exciting time in anyone's life when it comes to running a business. So, someone hearing this as a business owner might be like, oh my goodness, like who's going to manage that? Because that feels like an additional resource to make sure that those advertising assets and the impressions and, following that. So, where is this ad inventory coming from and how is it managed?
So the way we built our ecosystem, there's two layers. One is the ordering side that has to do with the connections with the POS, and then we have a content manager that we help our clients manage. And depending on sponsorships or if it's solely owned by the restaurant, then we aggregate that information regarding hours, content, location, and that's set up in a advertisement grid. So that can be pre-planned. We get those assets, we upload them to our cloud, and then they are shown in the manner that the owner has specifically asked for. So that content is being shown time specific and date specific.
Wow, that's fantastic. So beyond the money, I've been to many restaurants where it's like, are you finished yet? Because we have people outside waiting. So there's, faster table turnover and labor efficiency, meaning staff spend less time running cards and more time delivering hospitality. Because many a times when I go to a restaurant and I see someone on a pen and paper and I'm like, am I in 1999? So there are a lot of companies in the hospitality industry that are still, trying to connect with technology. So in markets like Barbados, for instance, where hotel occupancy is running strong and staff is tight, how much does that operational relief matter for business?
So the operational relief really matters on what you want to achieve. So, for example, if you want people to stay more at the table, it's creating that mix of content and visual aids, so that even though you're staying more at the table and you're not turning the table around faster, but at least you're incrementing that ticket. So you're going from 15% up by showing content that promotes the consumption. And then there's that other type of customer that comes in and he's really pressed on time, and he really doesn't want to interact, and he wants just his food and be served. So he can do that automatically and fast. relieving the time that is being spent in that interaction and having that table be turned around in a faster manner. So there's those two forms of viewing the possibilities. So either you want to turn tables faster by having folks that know I want a faster turnaround, I want to eat and go, or you want to have those customers that don't want to be doing this. I want another beer or I want another dessert, but they know they can do that and they can stay longer and their ticket will increment.
Wow, sounds exciting, especially with, travel being something that goes up and down in the news. Maybe people are coming, they're not coming. And, I don't know if people can notice, but I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and we're not the biggest when it comes to our tourism numbers, but we do have a high cruise in terms of stayover numbers, and it's been climbing over the years. And people are booking further ahead and staying longer when it comes to using social media, because I am on a lot of Facebook groups, and it's interesting to hear how people see Trinidad from an external perspective. Everybody loves the food, not bragging or anything, but what does that trend mean for businesses and hotels who have to keep pace with the demand, because we're seeing this increased usage of technology? So that means they're like, okay, I've seen this influencer do this thing in Trinidad and I want to go visit. How does this all connect the dots when it comes to how to pay at the table with Powertranz?
So what we're trying to do is have a like you just explained, there's an uptick in tourism and people are traveling more. So what we intend is to help operators not have their service to break. So by having influencers that come in and see the devices and interact with the devices, then they're gonna be able to experience a consistent service. So you don't want someone saying, I had the best meal of my life, but it took me 30 minutes to pay or 20 minutes to order another beer. So when you have those pushes of influx of tourism, you want service to be consistent and have your folks focus more on handing out food and sending food, turning tables quicker.
Yeah, you just gave me some flashbacks there of PTSD of being in a restaurant where you had such a good time, but the time frame to actually pay was so long. It definitely changes your impression of the experience, which is such an unfortunate fact because everybody else did their job, right? The food was
Yes.
great, and the impression of the restaurant was great, but then to pay is difficult. Do you have any numbers when it comes to, I'm just going to go off script for a little bit. Do you have any numbers that it could represent, kind of let us know what that looks like from a lost revenue perspective for owners?
Well, numbers specifically no, but I think we've all been there where we want to repeat or we want to do something, and we lose the intent of buying just because the line is too long or service is taking too fast. So by being able to have that disruptive technology at the table, allowing us to pay, we're gonna be able to fix those issues. But unfortunately, I don't have numbers that I could share to tell you what would be the real impact because we haven't measured that. We're focusing on delivering a payment there, then and there, right there at the table.
That's okay, Luis. I put you on the spot there. That's something I think a lot of businesses should review, because a lot of us are afraid of Google reviews, but that's the only way for us to learn, right? So it's a
Well,
fantastic
that's
solution.
that's that's something interesting you mentioned. Throughout the workflow, once you pay, I know everybody is very interested in their Google reviews, and I know I've been there where a service is really nice and everything, and the last thing you hear from the waiter is, "Could you please review us on Google?" And some of us do, some others don't. But what we've also incorporated in the workflow, once you've ordered and you've paid, you do have a little screen that shows the QR so that you, the restaurant in a very passive way is asking you to review the service. So we've incorporated that too because we want it to be something that comes from within the person that was just served, but not something that's being asked by the waiter.
You're so right, because it could be a little uncomfortable when someone is like, could you go on Google and do that versus actually having it being part of the process? Because many of us, eh, me included, make a lot of our decisions based on Google reviews.
Yes.
So it would be a fantastic opportunity for companies to have that incorporated in a payment solution. So we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we hopefully have Eldred back from Powertranz, and we're going to look at some numbers because hospitality is an important part of the Caribbean and Latin America. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining the Powertranz live show. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube so you don't miss a single part of these conversations because they're super important. Payment and e-commerce is part of our everyday lives. Be sure to share your questions in the comment section and we'll try our best to answer all of them today. And we are discussing how to pay at the table with Powertranz. We're joined by Luis, who is from Meshra Ecosystem, and we're hoping that we have Eldred on our break by. I think we're seeing them. Let's bring them in. Can we hear Eldred? Are you hearing us? Are you seeing us?
Let me do a quick test. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Sometimes we don't have control over these things, but that's okay. We learned a lot from Luis while you were gone.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. He's a very knowledgeable person.
Absolutely. So just before the break, we were looking at the discussion around, the ecosystem of pay at the table, as well as having the Google review as part of the process and the solution. So I know you got caught off last time, Eldred, and we were looking at making sure that this solution is baked into existing point of sale systems. And for those who don't know, POS means point of sale. Could you expand a little bit more on what you're discussing? Did we lose? Oh,
We lost him again.
no, Eldred, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, man. Yes. Go on. Hello? Hello?
No.
Yes, we can hear you. Hello? Okay, so
let me see if I can help. I can help with the question. So
sure.
from a POS standpoint, when you're a business owner, the first thing that you purchase usually is the system that's going to run your business. So many owners have already invested time, knowledge, and have trained their people in using their POS, so they're really familiar with that. And that's something that we've from day one focused on, is not having anybody have to rip their POS and say, well, I need to have this other type of POS to be able to use the pay at the table solution. So as we were mentioning before, we connect to more than 200 plus POSs thanks to the partnership that we have with one of our partners. So that allows us to create this frictionless environment where the restaurant owner or hotel owner just needs to turn on a switch. So let me give you an example of something we're currently doing. So we're working with a large international chain in Central America that operates a Oracle system. So we are connected to their Oracle system, to their Symphony, through this partner that we have that allows us to see all of their properties, all of their venues, and all of their menus with one single sync. So when they do want to deploy, they are not thinking on how much is this going to take me. It's already done. It's already proven. So these are connectors that exist that we're just turning on that allow us to bring that information that's currently in their POS to our world, where we put a front face with a picture, a descriptions and everything. So I think this is very important from an operator standpoint, because you don't have to start all over or create fiction. Everything keeps on working as it is. And with payments, it's the same way. So you keep your same bank relationship, everything that you already have in place. The only thing is that we're using those mechanisms like QR and soft post to reconcile payments.
Such important information that we all, in this digital world, it is difficult for a lot of folks to transition. But it sounds like the solution will allow you to make that transition much easier. So let's see if we can try Eldred one more time, because we're seeing him and let's see, can we hear you?
I hope so, and I sincerely apologize. I have 3 backup Wi-Fi's, and all are failing. So this is Murphy's Law at its best.
All right, so we're going to try this again because we need that insight from Powertranz perspective. So I'm going to share a little tidbit of information. So Jamaica just posted its most commercially significant year on record, and hotel room supply grew by 4.2% in 2025, while demand grew by 8.7%. So we are, as consumers, using these technologies and are accustomed to a certain level when it comes to service. But I'm going to speak on behalf of my people in the Caribbean. Sometimes it takes a little longer for us to adapt to our environment and to bring that technology in. So, Eldred, would you give us some insight as to how you've seen the Caribbean businesses able to evolve with adopting e-commerce and how to pay at the table solution?
Pauline, thank you for the question. Again, I sincerely apologize about this technical issue here, but the evolution has been consistent, but it's growing significantly. The adoption of QR, especially in our markets, you would think would be something revolutionary. This is not new technology. This technology is being used all over the world. The only thing that we've done is bring it now in a very easy, adoptable way to the Caribbean. So think about right now in Asia Pacific. So think of China, Japan, the Asian market. 60% of all QR transactions are occurring in the AP region. You talk about in the U.S., 70% of U.S. restaurants now have adopted QR technology. So what we're seeing is not only the adoption of this new technologies that allows us to go to the market immediately, the adoption of soft POS, which is tap on phone, is also coming on board very quickly. This is the same strategy we're using in every single vertical. So it's not like we're adapting new strategies for different verticals. It's the same strategy. It allows us to go to market quickly. It allows our markets to be able to adopt new technology quickly. It's not so much the markets are not really able or willing to adopt technology. It has been very challenging for our markets to adopt this technology. We have now made it much easier. And when you talk about numbers, you previously mentioned, there is an uplift, not only in the ticket sales. There's an important point that we need to address, and this is critical. I've seen it over and over in every single market that I've traveled, not only through the Caribbean, but in Central America. It is called the POS terminal roulette. You go to dinner, you go pay. The restaurant has a financial relationship with a particular bank. However, that restaurant may have 3 or 4 terminals sitting in the back. So it really is up to the waiter what terminal they bring out. And for a financial institution who has a relationship with a merchant, it's only seeing between 40 to 60% of their volume because their terminals are not always coming out. We have addressed this. The fact that you can now pay at the table, that payment mechanism is attached to a merchant ID, and that merchant ID belongs to a bank. Now a bank can completely see all their volume, which they weren't seeing before. So there are a number of benefits that are occurring with this solution, from the customer experience Like Luis was saying, being able to sit down, order when you want, what you want, how often you want, and be able to pay split payments and all that feature functionality, that's not new. It just exists in other markets. We have successfully been able to bring it over to this market now. Very easy to implement. It's a literally enable the service. You don't have to integrate anything. It's already integrated. Be able to go to market quickly with a solution such as QR that we've been using for years and already prepped to accept contactless payments. This technology addresses a number of different things, but more importantly, the lift of the number with regards to revenue that we're seeing is quite significant.
Thank you for that insight, Eldred, and we did hear you. Yay.
Thank goodness.
Okay. So when it comes to this conversation, I think it'll be remiss of me not to have the data conversation, because we're speaking about, that information is being managed by Meshra ecosystem as well as Powertranz. And you spoke about earlier, Luis, having someone manage that as well. So where's this data being kept? How can the business owner of the restaurant and hotel feel confident that there won't be issues with managing all this information?
So we don't keep data. So as mentioned before, we're an orchestrator. So everybody is doing their part. So for example, payments is being done by Powertranz, and everything that has to do with connecting with your POS is being done by our partner. So we are just a vehicle that orchestrates everything and has that visual layer that allows devices to run on the table. So when it comes to advertisement, we host we work with the Google Cloud Engine. So the advertisement space is managed in the cloud. So as I mentioned before, everything is programmed according to date, hour, and during the month, and then the programming is sent out to the devices. On a security level, we also work with one of the leading MDMs in the world. They are Esper.io. They're very known in the kiosk space. So all our devices are locked and managed by Esper. So they are used specifically for this purpose and cannot be tampered with. So once our software is loaded on a device, the devices get locked.
Great information, because I know that is a concern for many of us. Eldred, do you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I can add from a Powertranz perspective, as you probably know, one of the things that we've always focused on is securing the house, is making sure that not only our organization, but our clients and our customers are secure as new technology starts to roll out. And with new technology, we're connecting everybody. We just have to make sure that that we have the latest and greatest with regards to fraud prevention and data protection. So from a data security perspective, obviously encryption and tokenization is not only embedded in all our solutions, but we're also leading the way, especially in our region, to deploy now the latest in those kind of security technologies. For instance, the whole industry is moving to network tokenization. Powertranz is going to be a network tokenization request. So we're going to be the network tokenization provider in our markets. We also are implementing click to pay. We're also implementing passkey. All of this is to say that we always lead with security. So from a PCI service level 1 provider, we are securing and continuously securing payment data information. And this is the space that we play in. Luis mentioned a security component for the solution. This is the same security component, which is the prerequisite for these global organizations to have in order to manage devices within their ecosystem. So that has been implemented as well into this. So to make sure that the devices can't be tampered with, they're all COTS certified, which means they're certified off-the-shelf devices. All the information in there, these devices, is not only secure, these devices are essentially a mirror of your POS system. No information resides on these devices, and they all are geofenced, which means that if someone grabs a device and tries to run away with it, if you will, those devices become a brick. They become useless. They have gone beyond their limit of their geofencing, which means that no information will be to be able to go in or out of these devices. So from the onset, there's a lot of security, not only from the device perspective of regular transaction data, but from Powertranz, obviously we lead with PCI security to make sure that payment information is secure, not only tokenized, but encrypted as well.
Thank you so much. Because there's all, on the internet, we always have some release of some information that's out there. So in order for us to actually evolve and adopt with the technology, we do have to have the security conversation. So we're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to do a quick recap of our conversation. And don't forget, if you have any questions for us, put it in the comments below. It's there somewhere. So we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining the Powertranz live show. If you're doing so after going to crop over yesterday, kudos to you, soldier you are. So if you're joining us today, we are covering all things e-commerce with guests joining us from all over the world to share their knowledge on this digital world we're all a part of. You're not going to find these conversations anywhere else. Trust me, I looked when it comes to the Caribbean. We're very specific, Caribbean and Latin America. So if you're joining us from YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe so you continue seeing content to help you manage your business online. Today, we're discussing how to pay at the table with Powertranz, and we're joined by Eldred from Powertranz. We're hoping that we can see and hear him, as well as Luis. He is from RPC and Meshra Ecosystem. So can we see if we are hearing and seeing everyone? We're good to go? Yes? Fantastic. Okay. So we covered a lot of things in the last 45 minutes, and we have a couple, like 10 more minutes to go. So when it comes to this conversation, I think it's important for us to have, an external view as well, Luis. So when you work with hotel groups in Latin America, as well as the Caribbean, how does the partnership with Powertranz unlock for hospitality groups to do things that they couldn't do before?
So, like Eldred mentioned, what we're trying to help our clients is avoid the payment roulette. Having all those devices behind the counter capturing dust. We're trying to simplify the way information is being captured and payment is being captured, and that payment is also being funneled straight to your operating system, which is your POS. That allows an operator not to stay after hours trying to reconcile what you made through your devices that are not connected, and be able to reconcile everything that was done digitally in a faster way.
It's so interesting you mentioned that, because our last live from Tellmate, he was mentioning about using Excel spreadsheets, because a lot of companies still do that. How has been the adoption and transition working with these companies? What have you seen being the best sort of feedback from your customers and clients?
Well, the feedback that we're getting is time reduction. So you have a reduction on the stress on the staff when serving. Then kitchen is being sent information accurately, and then you have the accounting teams that are receiving reconciled orders and payments that at the end of the day allow them to validate what was sold against what is being posted in their banks. So those different steps all coming together is a time saver. So that actually turns out to be a cost reduction that people value.
Yeah, because time is money, right? So the reality is an Excel spreadsheet is not going to cover it. So being able to do those things in real time sounds like an amazing time saver. So I want to find out from you, Luis. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of companies have properties across different islands. And someone watching this will be like, well, I have all these different islands. Like, how difficult is it going to be for me, for my properties across multiple islands, to roll this out without needing a different setup in every market?
So we thought about that too. We're working with leading technology implementators in the Caribbean that are going to be implementing locally our ecosystem. So the first thing is understanding which POS you have. Once that's understood, what we do is connect to your POS, and then we provision what we call a blueprint. A blueprint is basically the set of instructions that the device needs to have so that it will operate with the branding, the sequence, and everything that is in accordance to the way you present yourself to the client. So once that's done, those blueprints go out to the devices, and that's where our technology implementators, what they do is provide you with the devices, cover service, and also they manage the whole pricing of the device in your country. And what we do is push or inject that information through the blueprint that we've previously designed. And we are able to control the devices remotely. So if you're doing a big rollout, what we're working with is IT teams that understand rollouts. So if you have 1 or 10 properties, it's just defining the blueprint, where it needs to go, and those devices are going to receive over the air the information they need to connect to the POS and to start using the MIDs and the information needed to go out and collect payment.
So when you say blueprint, is it somewhat of a template so the company can just insert their brand into this ecosystem that you've created?
Yeah. So think of it as a blank slate. So basically, you tell us what are the building blocks that make you you. So if you want to have a menu with a certain look, certain icons, or things like, I'll give you this example of this property. So they themselves have their own app, which they promote. So they wanted to onboard that same app within the device. So you can start creating those customizations where it's not only a menu, you're actually having an experience. So you can watch the menu, see the properties that the chain manages, or have other collaborations with different apps that contribute to the experience at the table. And so those blueprints, what they do is that they build a foundation of what we're going to inject to the device. So the devices go out blank. So when they get to the property and they're turned on and they're connected to the internet, we go ahead and inject that blueprint with all the information that has been previously spec'd out.
Wow. Sounds like a press and play option. Sounds very interesting. So, Eldred, I want to bring you in because we're about to close off soon. For someone who is a hotel or restaurant owner in the Caribbean watching this right now, what's the first step to bring in the pay at the table solution to their property?
Well, it's a great question. The fact that we operate across the entire Caribbean and we have financial relationships with most of the banks in the Caribbean, these hotels already have a financial relationship. Understanding who their financial institution that they're working with is number one, and allowing us to get their merchant ID. So the first thing is to go on the landing site there on our website, fill in a very short form just so we can understand basically what country you're operating in, what financial institution you're operating in, and then what we will direct you is, look, if this is the bank, we just need your merchant ID. That information that comes in immediately will go 2 ways. For us, the onboarding is fairly straightforward, fairly easy. Same thing that we've always done. From pay at the table perspective, Luis will receive that influx of information, and he'll immediately walk with the customer through their operations. For instance, if it's a hotel, how many restaurants do you have? How many tables do you have in each restaurant? Do you have a digital menu at the moment, or all your menus are in paper, lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, and so on and so forth? And then also, how many rooms do you have in your property? Typically is anywhere between 150 to 200 rooms. And this is for us to get an understanding of the scope of the opportunity. And then we work with that client to create a phased rollout. Typically what they want to do is go with one restaurant first. We digitize that menu, and then we make sure that the customer is happy with the digitalization of that menu, and then it's run a transaction. The process is actually extremely easy because all the connectivity is already done. It's understanding what operating system you have, where are you operating, what country, what bank are you operating with. We immediately take that from our traditional payments process, and then Luis will walk you through the process of how do we get you from paper-based to digital, and how many devices do we need to put forward. That initial phase, like I said, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, amazingly easy compared to how we used to have to work with this. But I think the first step, if to be straightforward, if you go onto our website and you go to pay at the table, there's a short form. This will trigger the entire process right out of the gate.
Thank you so much. And that, for those who are watching this, the URL will be available in the comment section, so you could go straight to sign up. Keith, I've seen your message, but we're about to close off now, so we will definitely answer it directly after the live show. So just to close off, Luis, I feel personally the world is getting smaller. I have a friend who is from Poland, and she wants to experience Trinidad Carnival for the first time, and we're planning that, which is a big deal. And it's seeing more and more of that in the internet, where we're all cross culture, we're traveling more, stay-over numbers are climbing across the region. So where do you see pay at the table fitting into hospitality, let's say 3-5 years from now?
As an extension of that cross-cultural experience. So by being cross-culture is not just putting technology that you're familiar to, but it's also being able to use AI so that it knows who you are, shows you information in your native language, and allows you to experience the whole experience at the table as you intend to. So I see AI playing also a very important role, because by understanding what you want, it can also suggest what you can have at that restaurant, and be able to manage your expectations.
Well, thank you so much for that, Luis. Thanks as well to Eldred from Powertranz. And thanks for joining us today and how we discuss how to pay at the table at Powertranz. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube, so you'll be notified for our next live show. And see you next time for the next one. Bye, everyone.